Hello, everyone. Today in our podcast, we have an amazing guest. This is the best lawyer in Dubai who specializes in many things, but we will find out maybe is it or is not his main focus in the real estate. But a lot of my colleagues know him as the guy to whom we should approach in case if there are any issues related to the real estate. Please meet Arash.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
Arash, can you please introduce yourself to the audience? What do you do and what kind of problems do you solve?
Okay. I basically have two firms. One is a law firm and the other one is a corporate service provider company. Through my law practice, basically, I am, as you mentioned, mainly focused on the real estate law. I assist and represent real estate investors, whether buyers, sellers, and I assist real estate companies as well, agents mainly.
Agents?
Yes. So what happens is that agents are the ones who are dealing with the customers. So when customers, they have legal questions, when most of them demand having a lawyer when they are doing their transactions. So they don't need to look around. So they know me. They bring their clients to me, knowing that this is what I do. Basically, my main focus is. So that's how I am linked to real estate agents, and mainly to assist them if they have any questions, if they have any legal inquiries, how to protect themselves, how to protect their commissions, etc. That's where I come into the pictures.
You mentioned commission. It's a very important topic
Yes,
for a lot
is.
of viewers on this podcast. Can you cover it a little bit, like how an agent can protect their commission?
So commission, as you mentioned, is where the actual benefit for the real estate broker. They work so hard in order to close a deal and then they get their commission. What is very important is they need to make sure that their contract with their company is very clear, stipulates exactly what they are entitled of, and they need to make sure that everything is in writing. So there are companies, unfortunately, that they promise their brokers things, but it's all verbal. When it comes to practice, that's where they're gonna fail. They're not gonna pay, or if the situation goes wrong, if the company is not doing well, then first thing they're gonna do, they're gonna stop paying commissions. So in order to avoid that, the agent needs to make sure that everything is documented and that there is an agreement here in place. Mm-hmm. That's the best way.
What happens if somebody approaches you and he says, Arash, I thought I have any contract, I am resigning, I want to join another company, and there is a lot of commission that is stuck in my current company. Is there any solution for this guy?
You mean that he didn't have a contract?
Yes. Let's say there is.
So if you don't have a contract, it's going to be extremely difficult. I'm not going to say it's going to be impossible, but it's going to be extremely difficult because when you want to go to the court, you need to produce documents, evidence. Why? What is your claim based on? Yeah. So you need documents to protect and make your case stronger. If you don't have a contract, how are you going to prove that? So I'm not going to say there is no way for it. There is a way, but it's going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And that way is the history. Meaning that in order to claim something, you don't actually just need an agreement. Even the correspondence between the company and the agent could help. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm saying could help because it depends on the nature of the email, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can produce or orchestrate for the judge that, all right, based on this history, on these correspondence through the years, it shows that every single deal that you have done, you have received 50% of that commission. The judge may look into this as a proper evidence and rule in your favor, and you get your commission.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay, let's move to the questions related to our clients.
Sure.
Yeah. What is some of the common questions or problems that you hear people approaching you if they are buying an off-plan purchase from the developer?
Okay, when they are buying off-plan, mainly when people are coming from overseas and they're not familiar with what's going on in this country, right? So the first question they're going to ask me, how secure this is. Okay. See, any investment is associated with certain risks, right? There is no investment that does not have any risk involved in it. So this is number one. They have to understand this, that we cannot secure any investment 100%. There are always chances for losing your investment or losing the deal in one way or another. But what you can do as an investor is to make sure that you are buying the right thing through the right person and from the right people. Okay? And there's someone who is supervising this whole thing. Meaning that obviously what we advise our clients and what is our clients are actually doing is that they always involve us at this earlier stage of their investment. They're not going to just wait for things to go wrong and then involve a lawyer. So from the beginning they come. Mainly they ask their real estate agents, do you know any lawyer who happens to have experience in this? And then they introduce a lawyer, and then the lawyer will come into the picture. If the lawyer is aware of how things works in the real estate market, they're not just going to make things more difficult, they're going to make things even much smoother.
We hate lawyers, by the way.
I know you hate,
At this stage.
and you have absolutely all the rights to hate them. The reason is that most of the lawyers who are not familiar with the real estate law, with the practice of the real estate, they're going to make things more difficult in order to just prove to their clients that they know their job.
And they're worth the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying me money, I'm making things difficult, and I'm showing that everything is working. For me, I'm practicing this for the past 20 years in Dubai, right? Mainly I'm focused in this, and I was involved in this industry from the beginning, from the time that we did not even have freehold. It was leasehold at the beginning, right? I was involved since then. So obviously I am fully aware of what's going on, and being an entrepreneur myself, I know how business works. So I know that if we want to just look at it from the lawyer's perspective, a deal will be very difficult to go forward. But when you have the businessman hat on as well, then this is going to be more smoother. Going back to the topic, so mainly they are worried about this, is how secure the off-plan is. So what we normally tell them, work with the reputable agents. That's number one, because they care about their name and reputation. So they're not going to do anything fishy so that you will face problem. That's number one. Number two, buy from a reputable developer. Yeah, don't just buy from any new company who we haven't even heard their names. Okay, although there might be good developers coming up with good projects, I don't want to say anything bad about them, but if it's their first investment, they have to be very sure about their investment. And then last, make sure that the documents that they are giving you all vetted by a lawyer, and you can make sure that everything is secured and you are doing the right procedure. So of course there are so many details involved. We cannot explain everything here, but these are the main things.
When it comes to the contracts with the developers, how much can be changed there? Because as we hear from them, like, nothing can be changed. We change only the name and only the details of the property. Perfect
question. See, that's a problem from one hand, that developers, they will just tell you that this is as is. You take it or you leave it. The reason that they don't entertain any amendments is that they have spent a lot on their legal team to draft that agreement in order to make sure that it covers basically everything. So they don't like to tweak it. That's number one. Number two, it depends on what you are buying and what is the size of your investment. If your investment is quite high, there is a chance that developers will even change their agreement for you. It happened. Yeah. So if you are doing a significant investment with them, it's worth it for them to look into their agreements and perhaps show more flexibility on some terms. And that will not be in the form of the agreement itself. They will do an addendum to the agreement. And they will give you a special kind of condition, which will be attached to the agreement.
Got it. What are some of the red flags that you're usually paying attention to when you read the contract, where the investor should pay, what he should notice or look first. Like, do you open specific page to check maybe the payment plan, the delivery, the conditions of the handover? Is there any specific that you look in the contract, or you would advise an investor to take a look at?
So I would definitely not advise the investor to rely on their own knowledge and expertise to read the agreement. We always do that for our client. And when we read, we read. It means from cover to cover. We don't leave a word out. The reason is that you never know if there was some a clause or clauses even that they have put in this agreement that basically will change the whole perspective. Yeah. So we have to make sure that everything is bulletproof and there's nothing fishy. So basically we read everything. But the main thing that we focus on is this. Let me put it this way. When investors, they read their contract, they are always imagining the good days. When we read the contract, we always imagine the worst days, right? So we see that, okay, if things goes west, how this contract can protect my client. Don't forget that the main thing that a client, that can protect a client is this SPA and nothing else. So I cannot emphasize enough on how important this piece of document is.
What about involvement of the government? That the government is taking care of everything, and is there any process for the government to check the SPA that developer is preparing, or government is not involved in this?
No, of course they are involved. See, government. Let me put it this way: government, especially Dubai, they have done a brilliant job in securing or bringing security as much as possible to off-plan properties. Because I know that most of your members are agents and they should know about this. Of course, they know, but just to emphasize more. So there are many measures that they put in place in order to secure the off-plan investment for people. And this will basically encourage people to come and buy in Dubai. Number one is that when a developer wants to launch a project, they have to introduce a bank guarantee. And this bank guarantee will secure the construction work. Yeah. So if they have a strong bank guarantee, then they're okay. You know, they can register and they can go on. So you know that when you're buying a project from a registered developer, the construction is being, taken care of through that bank guarantee. Number two is, as you know, the escrow account, right? Previously, I remember many years ago, my clients, they used to pay to developer directly. The developer takes the money and runs away. What are you going to do? Now we have escrow account. For those who don't know what is escrow account, it's a account that is designed and created for this project and for that particular investor. So the money goes into that account. Developer cannot touch 1 dirham in that account unless the government gives the permission to do so. And this permission will be given only based on the stage of construction. So if they build, they can take money. They build, they take money.
I was today on a meeting with one small developer, and he told me he's building something in JVC. He told me that there are 4 different parties that should approve, give him an approval to take money from the escrow.
See?
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I believe very few countries in the world, they have created such a amazing system in place to secure the investors. So then this is the one. Then you have land department. They have the authority to basically, when they feel that the developer is not building or they run away or anything as such, they will attach their license, they will attach their assets, block everything they have, okay? And then they have the right to even change the developer, bring another developer so that they will come and finish this project. So all these methods basically helps the investors to feel secure and be secure and then buy more in Dubai.
What is the position of the government in terms of the delays of the construction? Is there any regulation in place?
So the delay during different stages, we had different approach by the government. So when we say the government, we mean the court, the judicial system, yeah, because the case goes to the court and then the judge needs to decide. So we had force majeures, right? We had the economic crisis. We had the pandemics. All these, they were playing a big role in how the judge will perceive the delay. So basically, during those times, they were more lenient toward the toward the developer. Okay, no one was paying.
Yes.
If no one is paying, how can we expect the developer to build?
Yes.
Right? We can expect them to build if we are paying and they're not building. So obviously, the government will take more side with them, and they will see that, okay, what's going on, right? On the other hand, nowadays that we don't have the crisis and we don't have the pandemics, is the normal situation. So what they do, they will see if there is any actual delay. So based on the experience, a 1 year delay, it will not be considered as a delay or a reason to cancel a contract for it. Okay, it could be a reason to ask compensation or a delay charges, but it won't be a reason to cancel a contract. If the delay exceeds 1 year, let's say 2 years, 3 years, then that could be a ground for you to cancel the contract and get your money back plus legal interest.
How much is legal interest?
Legal interest is 5% of your paid up amount, but this 5% will be calculated from the day that you actually file your case, not from the day that you paid.
Okay, so if we have a delay more than 1 year,
right,
we can send our clients to you, and technically you can open a case, and there is a chance that they can take the money back plus interest. Am I right? Or
you're right, but we still need to check their contract.
Okay.
Because some developers, they sneak some clauses in, and they will buy more time.
Okay.
So they will justify longer delays. So perhaps, I don't want to name any developer, but I just reviewed a contract which gives them the right to extend the handover of the property for 2 years in case of delay. And funny enough is they are not even obliged to pay any penalties. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful when we are buying a property where we are signing a contract. These contracts needs to be studied, understood, and then sign it. You mentioned about changing or not changing the contract by the developer. What I always tell my client is this, that even if the developer is not changing the contract, it's crucial for you to understand what are you signing. The reason is that if you know what you're signing and what are your obligations, you will be prepared for it. You get my point?
For sure,
so
yeah.
if you don't understand what is coming at you, you're not going to be prepared for it. So better to know, be prepared. Okay, if you put your mindset, this is what I want, then by all means, buy it, but be prepared for it. But in some cases, the client, when they understand the risk involved in signing such a contract, they will say that, no, I'm not going to buy from them. Why do I need to buy from this developer? There are plenty of other developers. And the agent will be happy to introduce them to another one. You see? That's the idea. To know what you're signing.
Got it. What is a common practice in case if an investor is behind on some of his payments installments? How does this usually work in Dubai?
So again, going back to the default thing, number one, the contract will stipulate in case of buyer's default. It will clearly state that if the buyer defaults, what are the mechanisms that they're going to put in place? Meaning, they will send them a notice. They will give them a certain number of days to rectify the issue. If he rectifies the issue, the pays, then it's okay. If not, then perhaps there will be some penalties charged,
Is there any gap on penalties? Like the developer cannot charge more than this, or it's all again up to the contract?
It's up to you, but it has to be logical, because if it goes, let's say 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever, the judge will look into it and say that no, this is not a reasonable compensation that you have put there, and the judge has the discretion to reduce it. Okay, you will find it perhaps shocking that when you buy from the secondary market, you put 10% as a penalty, right? In case of default. Do you know that some judges, they even said that we don't believe that you are entitled of receiving 10%. You're entitled of receiving a compensation.
Wow.
They reduced the 10%.
Incredible.
Right. See, because the property value was 70 million dirham mansion, right?
Mhm.
The 10% is what? 7 million?
Yes, it's too much, yeah.
Okay. We had in a 300,000 dirham, which was 10%, 3 million, 10%, 300,000. The judge reduced it to 25,000 dirhams.
Whoa.
But that I changed the judgment in the appeal, and we got the full amount. Yeah, because that was ridiculous.
Mhm.
But my point is that they cannot just put any compensation or any penalties and get away with it. But again, the buyer should pay attention what they are signing. They should not accept these type of penalties.
Mhm. Okay. You mentioned a deal on the secondary market, and you mentioned that you went to the court. Like, a lot of people think that they signed the Form F. Let's say somebody backs out. The agent can give, agent of the second party can give you a check and it's done. Is it how it works, or you need to go to the court in order to do this?
I know that you guys receive lots of pressure from that because people expect you just to hand over the check. You won't hand over the check, and you're not supposed to hand over the check.
Please note this, guys.
Okay, this is
And
how it
buyers
is.
and sellers.
So basically, if the buyer or seller they back out and there is a security check or a deposit check in with the agents, they're not supposed to hand over just like that. You know why? Because it's not your job to determine whether this person who defaulted is actually in default.
Wow.
It's the judge's decision.
Makes
Okay.
so much sense now.
Yeah, you cannot tell. How you can tell who's right, who's wrong? Yes, up to a certain level, you are a professional real estate broker. You understand that somebody is, backing out or in default, but that might be perceived differently when it goes to the judge.
Mhm.
So that's why they say that, okay, you will be entitled, but let's take this to the judge and let judge look into it. Judge orders you, then you pay.
Is there any way to add any clause in the Form F where it will be mentioned that, yes, company X will give immediately to the seller or to the buyer the check? Will it work, or still we need to go to the judge in this case?
Better not to put that.
Better not to put that.
Yeah, because I'm not sure, but you need to check with the Dubai Land Department. I think they also have a rule against, because it's a professional thing between you and the Land Department. I think they will even penalize the agent if they hand over the check. I'm not sure. You need to check that with the Land Department. Aside from that, you should not do that because you're going to expose yourself to being sued, to a lawsuit against you. Because the buyer, at the time of signing, as I told you, they're so excited. They see all this beautiful things, they want to sign and buy their dream home. They're not going to pay attention to this clause. So they're just going to sign. And when things goes wrong, then that's the time that the lawyer will tell them that, I'm sorry, but you already signed this clause, right? And if you hand over the check, then they become furious and they will go and sue you. So better to keep it. You don't need the headache. Let them go to the court. The judge will order you, and then you're going to hand over the check.
Just out of curiosity, if such a thing happened, how much will it cost to go to the court and open a case in case if I need to take my check from somebody?
People, they don't go to the court just to ask for the check. Yeah. So what they will do, they go to the court for a couple of reasons. Reason number one is that they want to ask okay, so let me, since you asked this question, let me tell you about couple of achievements here. It's not bad for agents to know because they're sharing wrong information with people. So many agents, if you ask them, if the seller backs out of the deal, can you force him to transfer the property to you? All of them, they will tell you, or majority of them, they will tell you that no, you cannot force him. He will just pay you your 10% and off he goes.
Whoa!
Correct? This is the response from most of the agents.
Yes.
I'm sitting here and I tell you, I have won 2 cases, villas, that the seller backed out because the price got almost doubled.
Yeah.
Okay, so they backed out. I went to the court and I forced the seller to transfer it to my client, and I got a title deed under my client's name.
Wow, incredible.
Okay, the reason is, so this is the difference between someone who knows about the real estate law and someone who pretends to know about the real estate law. These are the small details that could help and support your client. If And I'm not saying that this applies to everyone, by the way, yeah?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, I don't want lots of inquiries or everybody think that it can be done. No, but it could be a possibility to force the seller to transfer it instead of just paying the 10%, because it's worth it for them a lot to pay 10%, even 20%, and get out of the deal, because the property increased for what, 40-50%?
Yes.
From the day that they signed the contract. Okay, so it doesn't make sense for them to stay in. So they will say that, okay, we pay you, unless if the buyer agrees, they pay the compensation and they leave. But if they want the property, there is a way to do it.
Amazing. What about the buyers? If the buyer changes his mind?
So the buyer changes his mind, it's straightforward, yeah? The seller can just go and ask for the penalty, the 10%.
There is no way to push him, let's finish this.
No, that you cannot do. That you cannot do.
Interesting situation with the sellers in this case. Let's move to the landlords.
Sure.
Landlords and tenants. Maybe we'll come back to the buyers and sellers. So landlords and tenants, there are a lot of things to discuss, and maybe, like, based on my experience, I receive as well a lot of questions on the Instagram, like, oh, I need to solve this and that. A lot of these questions related to the rent. So let's start with this point. Like, let's say a landlord is sending me an email and saying, Dennis, like, you're paying now, let's say 100K. I want you to pay tomorrow for the next year 120K. Oh, just I want to increase the rent. Otherwise, you need to vacate the property. What the tenant should do in this case?
Okay, see, it's a clear steps that they need to take. Number one, they have to make sure that they are receiving the notification through the official channels, meaning it's not an SMS, it's not a verbal communication, it's a written communication, either through notary public, registered mail, or the email address that is written in the tenancy contract. Previously, the latter was not a proper way of communication.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear it.
Yeah, now the judges are taking that into consideration. So if the landlord sends an email to the tenant through the email address which is written in the tenancy contract, that is considered a proper communication. We still inform our clients not to do that. We still tell them to do it through the notary or registered mail, and also through the email. But don't just rely on the email. We say that, although the judges are taking it into consideration. So you need to receive the notice through these channels, and you have to receive it at least 3 months prior to the expiry of your tenancy contract. If you receive it on time through the official channels, then you need to go and check on Dubai rental increase calculator and see whether the landlord is allowed to for that increase, and you know how it works then. So you enter your details and it will tell you that if they are entitled or not. If they are not entitled, you don't need to increase. They have to give you the tenancy contract with the same terms and condition. But if the calculator allows the increase, then you have no choice.
What happens if, and I had such case, if the landlord insists, no, I will not sign the new contract with you.
Good question.
You need to pay me higher rent. What a tenant should do in this case?
Good question. So let's put it this way. Let's say if the landlord does not send the notice through the right channel, or they send it 2 months prior to the expiry, okay, or they send it and the rental calculator does not allow such increase. In all these scenarios, the tenant is entitled to renew the contract with the same terms and conditions. Now, the landlord is not aware about the law, and they will just insist, no, you have to. In fact, I have today I had a client like that. The landlord was just insisting, an old lady doesn't know about the law, insisting that, no, you have to increase. Everybody, my neighbors they all increased, so you have to increase, okay? So in that situation, you try to convince the landlord, tell them about what the law says. If they don't understand, don't fight with them. We can go to Rental Dispute Center and we can file a petition for them, and we can ask the RDC to get involved, accept our rental checks based on what we were paying last year, and then they will suggest it to the landlord, come and collect your checks. And if they don't come, they don't show up, then we're going to ask, through another case again, we're going to ask the RDC to allow us to renew the contract with the same terms. So what they would do, they will ask us to make the contract based on what we had before. We take it there. RDC will sign it on behalf of the landlord and they will give it to us.
Amazing.
End of the story. You get your HRE, you get everything. Life is beautiful.
Amazing. Now let's discuss how we can protect the landlord. So let's say I signed a contract with somebody and he pays me in 2 checks, but second check by some reason is delaying. What can I do in this case if I'm a landlord?
Okay, when you say delaying, it means that the check went to the bank and it got bounced.
Yes, let's say it like this. Yeah, it got bounced and I'm calling him, can you please make a payment?
Sure.
Your check got bounced and something like this.
Sure.
Yeah.
What normally we do, we make sure that in the tenancy contract we keep a clause saying that if if a check gets bounced, there is a penalty of 500 dirhams or 1,000 dirham, whatever. That's one way to encourage the tenant, make sure that the check does not get bounced. Number one. Number two is that the check has to be cleared on time, meaning the rent has to be paid on time. If there is a delay, I always advise the landlord to be a little bit lenient with the tenants because this is a long-term relationship. Yeah, we need to be human before anything else. We need to see what's the reason behind this delay. Maybe the guy got fired, him or her lost their jobs. Yeah, see what's the reason. Try to be more human when it comes to the situation. But being human aside, when it comes to the legal side of it, we say that okay, tell them that you need to pay us. Maybe there was some error with the bank or checks, signature or anything as such. If they rectify it, good. If they don't rectify it, if they don't respond, if they don't have a valid reason, then you do not waste time. Immediately, you're going to serve them a notice and demand payment or settlement of their rent, the second payment, and you give them 5 working days to rectify the issue. They don't rectify the issue within 1 month, you're entitled to file a case and ask for eviction. And the beautiful part of this is, in protecting the landlord, is this, that the tenant did not pay. You serve them a notice, you give him a month, he did not pay. You file the case. Next day he goes and pays you the rent. You can still get the eviction order.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Somebody can play around with you.
Yeah, because they think they're smart. Okay, I'm going to just wait, and then last minute I'm going to go and pay. No, the judge will not look into it. The judge will tell you that the default has happened. Within that duration, the default has happened. Immediately, the right of eviction will occur. But he had to go to the court and get that order. Hence, the time of month or so will be processed till they get the judgment. But the judge will look into it. Everything was done on time? Yes, eviction is granted.
Amazing. And how... well, I heard it's very difficult to evict the tenant.
No.
No, it's easy. Can you tell us how this process takes place?
So eviction is, as I said, if you have done it in the right way, meaning serving notice, filing the right case, asking the right things from the judge, the moment they grant you with the eviction order, you just wait for the appeal period to pass. If they don't appeal, or if the appeal also confirms, then you just go for the execution. The execution will be notified to the tenant. He has 15 days. If he does not take any actions, immediately you will just execute it, meaning that they will go and knock on his door.
Police will knock on the door and ask
the
him
the court clerk will go and knock on the door.
And if he refuse to open it, they will do people break the door in order to?
You can, yes, you can take the order from the court that the tenant is not opening the door. Then the court will grant you the access to break the door and go in.
And what about this period while the tenant was living there basically for free?
He's not living for free. He has to pay you until the day that he actually vacates the property.
And again, the court will try to find a way to get this money from him, right? It's
not
my job.
Well, yeah, that's part of the execution that we do, right? So one of the things that we do through the execution, again, you need to see what is the judgment. Judgment normally covers the eviction as well as paying the rent. So the paying the rent will go through the different procedure. Eviction goes through a different procedure. Recovering the rent, they will block his accounts check whatever he has under his name. It will be attached, put on auction, and sold. Okay, and he will be travel banned, so he cannot leave the country. All this just to recover the rent.
I see. I had a very interesting story just to share with you.
Sure.
I've been several times in courts, rental dispute centers, and I was fighting with my landlords, like playing a smart.
Okay.
But no, actually I was protecting myself mainly there. But I had a very interesting case.
And who was your lawyer?
Sorry?
Who was your lawyer?
I was representing myself. I lost one.
You got lucky.
Yeah, I got lucky, yeah. I had a big fight with my landlord because he was trying to increase the rent because the chiller is increased, and they had 20 apartments in that building where I was living, and they said everybody is increasing. I said, guys, you cannot do this. So we had a very difficult communication with them. And then I realized that one of my checks that I gave them, they didn't cash it. And 6 months passed. And I don't remember, was it the 6 months or so, but personal checks, they had an expiry date. I think it was 6 months.
6 months, they cannot cash it after that.
Yeah. So after that, they approached me and said, Dennis, you need to pay for the rent. I said, excuse me, I paid for you. Here is the receipt. I gave you the check. I said, no, you need to pay. And they didn't allow me to get access cards when I had to get them new. And I went to the rental dispute center. And there, I won.
Of course, yeah.
They said, yeah, you gave them the check. It's their problem. But you know what they did? They opened a case for me, not in rental dispute center. They opened in the police, and I got a call from the police. And in the police, they invited me and they asked me like, listen, you need to pay them. Like, where is the money? I said, listen, I gave them the check. They lost it, or I have no idea what they have done. It's a big company. Maybe somebody didn't pay attention to this. And in the police, they made me pay this. And even though I showed them the decision from rental dispute center that I don't have to pay, it said, okay, this is okay, but this is rental dispute center. This is civil thing. And in the end of the day, they got money from me. Can you imagine?
So I'm sorry to say this, but this is the reason a lawyer should be involved.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to tell this to a lawyer. Yeah. I'm sure that there was some miscommunication here, that perhaps the police did not get the full picture. And if the lawyer was involved, basically they could explain everything from the legal perspective. And trust me, Dubai police is the most supportive and cooperative forces that you can ever see. They really listen and they really want to help. They're not just going to let anyone get away with it just because they're landlords. Yeah, but this needs to be explained to them in a proper way and in a legal way so that they would understand what's going on. So a check that was given by you to that person, it had to be replaced.
It had to be replaced.
It had to be replaced. So it's their fault that they have not cashed it on time, and then it got expired. But does that change the fact that you owe them money? It doesn't. You owe them money.
But I paid. I give you the money, basically. Yeah, this is what they were telling me in the
You
police.
haven't paid them. You give them a tool to recover that money. But that tool got expired, so they cannot recover their money. So they had to go to the police and then force you, right? So what normally they should do is that they need to communicate with you in writing. Tell you that, Dennis, the check that you have given us, 6 months has passed from its date, and we cannot cash it. Please provide us with a new check. If you refuse to give them the new check, then they have the right to go to the police station and file a case against you.
Yeah, this is what actually happened. Yeah.
Oh, they did that?
Yeah.
They send you an email saying that the check was...
the written, I don't remember precisely, but definitely there was something
in writing.
But in the end of the day, there was no court, just in the police station.
Okay, they can do that.
Somewhere in Deira.
They can do that. The reason is that check that you have given them, because then they're going to consider it as you trying to trick them or you trying to avoid paying them. So that's where they can enforce it. So they go and they say that, okay, he's not willing to exchange the check. Because you have to exchange it, otherwise they cannot recover the money.
Yeah, and like I was telling him, okay, look, I'm giving them another check right now. What happens if they lose this check? No, we'll give you. So, yeah. Arash, you mentioned that, yeah, I didn't approach the lawyer. Do you know why I didn't approach the lawyer?
Sure. No, I don't know.
Because in my mind, and I think in many others' mind, like we watched like Hollywood movies, and everybody's saying, "I will sue you," like you cannot afford such good lawyer as I do. And for us, it looks like it's very expensive to approach the lawyer. Can you please explain us briefly as much as you can? Obviously,
Sure.
there is something case to case, like how much it will be to have help of your company with putting up together the contract, and some of the common questions that you some of the common cases that you are getting from the agents, from the clients. What is the average fees for the lawyer?
Okay, so it's very difficult to answer this question in terms of how much we charge. Obviously, we need to do it in a professional way, and that is studying the case and then giving a proper proposal. Again, obviously, we don't charge the client to give proposals to represent them in the court. Yeah, we take on the file, we have a brief study of the case, and then we tell them that, okay, this is how much we charge. They can afford it. They'll just do it. They cannot afford it. They didn't lose anything, right? So that's number one. Number two, it's not always having a lawyer on your side to represent you and file a case. We suggest that at least get advisory service from a lawyer. Because by getting an advice, for example, in your situation, you could have avoided all the hassles, going to the police stations, wasting your time. I know how valuable your time is. You know, you can do a viewing and sell a 40-50 million dirham worth of a villa or whatever.
Yeah, it took a lot of time. It wasn't one meeting.
That's
maybe
what I'm
4
saying.
meetings.
So you can spend 15 minutes with a lawyer and get the right advice and avoid all the hassles.
Yeah, you
right?
save time.
What we used to do before, I used to have this policy that, okay, an advisory session should be 1 hour, right? But during the COVID, what we did, we broke it down to 2-3 different packages. So now people can book a 15 minutes session, a 30-minute session, or a 60-minute session. Yeah, and it's all online. So you just go online, you book your session, 15 minutes, and voila, a lawyer sitting on the other side of the line on a Zoom meeting. You get to see the lawyer who happens to have 20 years of experience in the real estate law, okay, and advising you on how to go about your issue. And that 15 minutes basically could save you a lot of time and money in the future. So get an advice instead of, you know, dealing with things on your own without having any guidelines. Or then if you want to, you know, file a case, again, you go for an advice, they study your case, everything, and then they will let you know that, okay, we can represent you. I refuse representing many clients. They come to me and I see that they have a losing case. I just tell them, don't do it. I don't like taking losing cases. Okay? If I see that the case doesn't have a chance to win, I will just refuse to take it. The reason is the client will trust me and they think that I'm going to win it. And then I'm going to lose it. What they're going to do? They're going to go all over the city and say that Arash lost my case. That's the last thing I want.
Yes.
Right? But if
and they will say it was an easy case.
An easy case. You see? So it happened that I have taken losing cases. But what I did, I studied the case and I sent my opinion in writing to the client. And I told them that I believe your case does not have a big chance of winning. Still, if you want me to represent you, please confirm. So when they confirm, they cannot say that, no, we didn't know. We already told them that your case is not strong. And then we're going to help them.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, this advisory part is
very crucial.
Is very important, and yeah, in my opinion, it was like if you go to the lawyer, like, oh, this is like,
no.
let's put together but the advisory, and especially if you have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and it's online on Zoom.
That's it.
Yeah, people can get a lot of benefits out of this. Allow me to come back to the off-plan market.
Sure.
Let's say the investor by some reason cannot proceed with other payments. We discussed the penalties. He paid, let's say, 50%. He needs to pay another 30% until the completion. He's trying to sell the unit. He cannot sell the unit. What the developer would do in this case?
In case of failure of payment?
Yes.
So, number one, they will activate the delay clause as per the contract, which is calculating the delay penalties. and they will tell you that you have to pay this much now. Aside from that, in most cases, the developer will feel that it's better for them to just cancel the contract and sell it to someone else. So what they would do, they will approach the land department. They will send a notice through the land department giving you 30 days to rectify the issue and make your payment. So during this 30 days, it's your time to go and start negotiating with the developer to retract that notice. Not retract it, basically, to just put it to end and close the deal with the developer. If you negotiate and you get a chance, then better. If not, then it means that you are actually in default. Right after that, the developer has a chance to cancel the contract and sell it to someone else. And they will forfeit what you paid. There is a table, that depending on the completion stage of the project.
Yeah, some money can stay with the investor.
30%, 40%, 20%, depending on the stage. They will forfeit from your amount. The rest, either they need to pay you back or there's no risk, and then they will just go and sell the property to someone else.
What is the time frame that usually the client has? Or it all depends on the relationship with the management?
It depends on the developer itself. Yeah, some developers, they are, for example, again, I don't want to name any developers here, but one of the developers, which for a short period of time, I was representing them because they are extremely good with their investors. The chairman, direct instruction to their employees: do not take my investors to the court. Try to be as lenient as you can with them. Help them out. We are giving them homes. We don't want to take them to the court. So this is very noble, right? So we have someone like this, and then we have developers that they don't give you a chance to breathe. Yeah. You delay, right away you will be served with the notice. 30 days off, they sell their property, and that's it.
And when can they serve this notice? After 30 days since the time when the installment is due, or how soon can they serve?
So you need to check the contract. The contract normally covers this procedure, that they will tell you that, okay, in case of delay, we're going to give you a 15 days time to cure the issue, like to rectify the non-payment. Or 30 days, 15 days, whatever. It all is stipulated in the agreement, and you just need to see what your contract is telling you. In accordance to that, you will be served. And then if you don't make the payment, they will take it they can immediately take it right after that. For example, if they have agreed to give you 15 days, they give you 15 days. You don't pay. On the 16th, they are in the land department.
Did you have a case when somebody bought an apartment off plan, but when it was delivered, it wasn't as they expected? Maybe the quality is not as good. I'm not talking about the layout. Layout, yes, you can ask for the compensation if it's bigger or smaller. But if we discuss the quality, is there any way to get as well some money back if you're not satisfied with what was delivered?
Okay, good question. I'm actually known for fighting one developer, particular developer, who is again known for doing what you just mentioned in a big scale. So yes, I had many cases. There were a case that the developer sold a 2-bedroom apartment to an investor, and they handed over a 1-bedroom.
Oh, Jesus.
And when they went for handover, they said that, but I bought a 2-bedroom. I said, no problem. Here, put a gypsum board in between.
Jesus.
And now you have to. So yeah, we had such a case. And then we had a developer who sold a 5-star hotel apartment with a premium to their investors. And then when it came closer to the date of handover, they informed the investors that come and sign a paper and have consent because we are giving you a residential apartment.
I heard about this case. What happened? I heard about such cases, not specifically.
Yeah, I filed 12 cases against this developer for 12 different clients. So what will happen in such situation is that the court will appoint an expert to verify whether we are saying the truth or no. So they will come and read our agreement, and they will go and check the property, and then based on that, they will issue a report. If the report confirms our claim, then definitely the client will get compensation.
And how fair is that independent person who's checking if it's as it is or not? Because we have in the contract, it's mentioned that I'm buying hotel, and here they're asking me to sign that it's residential. It's
So that's more an obvious situation or scenario, because it's a huge difference. But in a smaller differences, like okay, the quality was supposed to be like this, the floor was supposed to be like this, matters like that. It's not about how honest the expert is, because normally they are supposed to be honest, considering that they are the approved expert of the court, so they have to be honest. Mainly the question perhaps should be that how expert they are, how professional they are, how much they can actually investigate. For example, I had a client who bought a 15 million dirham worth of villa in Al Barari, back in the days that we could still get 15 million dirham villa. And then the seller, the agent, basically took pictures and videos of the villa and sent it to my client, who was in Germany.
wow, such a case.
Okay.
We have such cases a lot right now.
Yeah, my client was in Germany. He's German, and he contacted his agent. The agent took pictures and videos and sent it to him. He saw it. He said, "I love it. I want this. Right? Close it for me." So sending the documents, everything, signed and all, not knowing that those pictures and videos belonged to a year ago, and they were not recent pictures and no recent videos. Okay, so what happened is that during that period of time, the owner rented that villa to a Chinese guy, and that Chinese guy brought 10 Chinese people sitting in the villa, employees. They destroyed the villa. Okay, so by the time that he came for the transfer, he goes to do a site inspection. He sees that, oh my God, this was supposed to be a premium property. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Water leaking, roof is coming down. It's a big disaster. So he refuses. He said, I'm not buying this. But he signed a contract. Right? So what we did, we said that I told him this risk and everything. He was insisting on going to the court. But what happened is that the owner, he went, the moment he saw that we appointed an expert, before that, he brought some workers. He said that, you know what, just clean this place up, fix as much as you can, because people are coming for inspection. So they just fix the outer side of it. The disaster at the back end was there, right? So, but unfortunately, the expert that we had from the court was not expert enough or professional enough to see what has actually happened. So he gave us a report saying that the house is in a perfect condition. You have no reason not to. So the client lost the case just because of this.
I see.
So these are the risks involved in such cases we need to explain to our clients.
And talking about purchase of the property that is under the tenancy contract, that somebody lives there right now. In case if the owner, the seller, let's say gave a notice to vacate the property like 3 months ago, and I'm buying it right now. Will I get the property after 9 months? Can I move in there? Like, can I evict the tenant based on the notice that the previous owner sent?
Okay, so you want to say that the previous owner has given a 12 months notice to the tenant saying that he wants to sell the property, and then after 3 months he actually sells the property.
Yes.
So previously this was enough. Now, in accordance to the new rules, this is not enough. It means that the new owner has to come and serve the tenant another notice and give them another 12 months, then only they can evict the tenant.
Okay.
So those days are gone that we used to use the old legal notice to evict the tenant after a month or two, depending on the period that it was passed. Now it doesn't work like that.
And since when do we have this new regulations?
A month or so.
Oh, just a month. So.
It was a judgment issued by the Court of Appeal.
Actually, it doesn't make really sense. Yeah. No, like
so what they're saying, I agree with you, because it shouldn't change the the whole concept of the tenant being aware that they need to leave, right?
Yeah.
They say that the relationship or the obligation that the tenant had was toward the previous owner.
Okay, now we don't have. Yeah.
The reason that they were agreeing with that is that the owner was not sure if he can sell the property when there is a tenant. So he will give a tenant a notice to evict. But guess what happened? He actually sold it with the tenant. So there is no issues. So why the tenant needs to leave the house?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that this is the reason behind this new ruling.
That kind of makes sense, yeah.
You see.
Arash, there are so many other questions that I would like
for
to
the rest
ask,
I have to charge you.
Yes. I have a feeling that for the rest
yeah. So far it was free.
I need to pay you. Thank you so much for your time today. Where guys can find you and where they can approach you in case if they have something to discuss with a good lawyer.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I'm all over the social media. On each platform they can find me through my link, through my handle, Arash Zod. I'm sure you're going to put it on these videos somewhere. And Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. And the best way to contact me, there's always a link in TikTok as well as Instagram that guides them to my website and arashzod.com. And they can always get in touch with us by booking a session or sending us an email. Mm-hmm. We will get back to them.
Amazing. Arash, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Again, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. We shared some of the important points related to the real estate. We discussed the off-plan, we discussed the secondary, and we discussed the tenancy market. So I hope you will implement this knowledge and you will spread this information to your clients. And in case if you have anything that you want to that you're confused or maybe you're not sure about, please approach professionals and discuss it with such people as Arash. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Thank you.
Cheers. Woo!